better late than never, I assume. Apologize for the delay in the start today. However, reasons. I feel like I'm doing a Hitchcock film or something more serious, like a documentary from a very one place. It's like no shadows. It's like all shadows here. Doesn't help with the black shirt. If I sound exhausted, tired, and low on energy, that's because I am. I had a fantastic week last week, at least the last half of the week, as I went to Indianapolis, Indiana for the Gen Con. And if you don't know what that is, it is just an amazing 4 days of nothing but gaming. And when I say amazing 4 days of nothing but gaming, I mean I ran games for 4 days, 8 hours a day, 2 shifts. They call me a madman. And it was the best time I could ever have. I'm telling you right now, if you get a chance, if you're an aspiring DM or GM out there and you're like, I need more experience in my life being a GM, I would really, really suggest signing up for the Herald's Guild and then signing up to be a DM whenever they offer. They offer 3 times a year Winter Fantasy, which is in February, which I'm already going. Origins in June, which again, already got plans to going. And Gen Con itself, which again, I'm already planning to go. Simply for the fact that it is an amazing experience. I have never been to a con that large, and this is me coming from MegaCon in Florida, which has the name MegaCon for a reason. But Gen Con was crazy. The only celebrity that I would say that I saw that a lot of people would know, I got to see Satine Phoenix from like about 20 feet from me. I was busy running a table, so I couldn't talk to her. I sent her a tweet saying, I saw you. I wanted to get up and shake your hand and say hi, but I was running a game, creating an awesome experience for some players, to which, and I said, I hope that's not the only time they get to see you in passing, and to which she sent me a star, a smiley face with like the hands and another star. If anybody wants to interpret those hieroglyphics, please feel free to do so, because to me, it's just like, I don't know.
It's a high five.
Is that a high five? Is that what the...
Sure. It can be if you
Anybody
want
who's
it
ever
to be.
seen or heard of Hero of the Veils or Heroes of the Veil, I met Jen, and I'm going to butcher her last name, Kirchman. Anyways, one of the players, also a producer for several television shows. I met her, shook her hand, told her that I wanted to get more involved and have her get involved and things like that. I also met Eric Menge, who for Baldwin Games. Baldwin Games was who sponsored me and had me out as a DM to run their games. I say me like it's just me. Oh, they just reached out to me. No, there were a lot of us, and we still were missing DMs, GMs. So there's a shortage, as there is in real life. No one ever wants to run the game. Everybody wants to play. Well, here's your chance. It is a fantastic experience, and it sounds like as zapped as I am. The only thing that I would do different is reschedule what my shifts were, because like a dummy, I had the first one in the morning, which started at 7:45, and the last one of the day, thinking I'd have the bulk of the day to do whatever I wanted to with, except that the last one of the day ends at 1 a.m.
Oh no.
I also rolled into town and got into bed and passed out promptly at 2 a.m. this morning, and then got up at 6:30 to work. So, yay! Um, so this may be a short show. As what do you see the DM do is just pass out onto the computer. Uh,
Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we will be keeping a very close eye on him to make sure that he is okay.
I got a cool mug. I'm not much to buy myself things. I don't really splurge on myself. I do spend money on other people. But this weekend, I went and bought a new dice bag. It was handmade leather, crafted, stitched up, and everything for me. I got another kilt, which is using buckles instead of buttons, which is a lot better for those of the Softig figure. It was really nice, and I had a great time. So shout out to Got Kilts for and Danielle specifically, who we had a blast. She's also a pro wrestler, and she has the nicest teeth I've ever seen on anyone. They were like white, just perfectly white and all straight and everything. And I'm like, I'm mesmerized by your teeth, but not like a stalkerish. I want to take them out of your mouth and put them on a mantle way. She just laughed and said thank you because she's worked so really hard on them. A huge shout out to a lot of people we met. Carl and Sarah Jordan, Sarah runs a game. Look up Ars Mythica, please. We'll make sure that she's also in our Discord channel. She and Carl both, but they ran the first ever D&D LARP that they actually had up there. It's not something they do. So it was a huge success, in my opinion. They had a lot of fun, made a lot of friends, and there's a picture that Sarah has of herself with Larry Elmore. And if you don't know who Larry Elmore is, he is a fantastic artist for D&D and has been one of the major artists that does a lot of the inspiration for my own stories and things like that. His artwork was found throughout the original 3.5 Player's Handbook.
Didn't he guest with us?
That's
Or is that a different Larry?
That's Larry Dixon.
Different Larry. Okay, moving on.
Different Larry. Unfortunately, our friend Larry couldn't be there at Gen Con due to reasons, so I did not get a chance to meet him. I did not run into any of the Critical Role crew. I'm not much of a fanboy. I don't get all like squee. I will say though that had I met Matt Mercer, it would have been a very cool. Hey man, nice to meet you. By the way, you're doing great, buddy. And then I would have asked him, so how well do you know Chris Perkins, and can I get his number? 'Cause I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I have a favorite. I'm just saying I have a preference. Pat him on the shoulder and say, maybe that Critical Role thing will really work out for you.
Wow!
Just because I'm that asshole. The other person that I did meet, and this is kind of a hopeful thing, as many of you know, I write these things on my own. I write these adventures, come up with them, put them down in notepads that at least I can read, and that way I can kind of steer them carefully with the writing crop as need be. But I met Eric Menge. Eric Menge writes for Baldwin Games, and he is also one of the lead writers and head of the Moonshay venture or regional guide or adventure guide. The Moonshay Isles, for those of you who aren't familiar, is basically where the Nordic or Norse mythology in Forgotten Realms is settled. It's a series of islands that are rocky and craggy and have a very harsh environment, much like Scandinavia and the northern parts of it. And it takes to the old traditional stylings of what we do with the romanticized Nord mythology. And I can't talk. I'm so tired. But Eric and several others wrote there. I talked to him. Sarah and Carl chatted me up saying, he's amazing. You should see the adventure. To which he responded, send me an email. Send me some stuff. So, and now once I get over all that, it'll be amazing, and I'll go on. There's a lot of vendors there, and again, like I said, and I'll stop prattling on at the head and actually play a game here in a minute. If you ever get a chance to go, whether you're DMing there or if you're just there for the show, Gen Con is an experience that you should not miss if you love role-playing games. You need to do it once. They have a gamer hall that is the biggest thing I've ever seen. It's a size, the gaming hall is the size of somebody else's convention. And it's just table after table after table of people playing all sorts of games. There are shows, panels, just like there are at other conventions. There's a huge cosplay parade, which I'll try to get all my cosplay pictures that I took from my phone to a media that isn't my phone and make sure that I send those out. But yeah, it's fantastic, and Indianapolis itself is like 800,000 people or so, and when it was Gen Con there, it's probably close to 1 million. While I was gone, though, we did have some people holding down the fort for me, as always. Our beautiful Maddie was playing Curse of Strahd on Thursday, and we had Jason running Icons on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And then on Tuesday, Jason was pulling his first shift, running Jesper Genesis, And of course, we had our first episode ever last week of the Escorts, the new campaign that you are watching right now. What you're watching right now is me run off at the head, but what we'll be playing here in a few moments is that game. We have with us tonight, as always, the beautiful Maddie, who has her lighting issue so that she doesn't look like me, all kind of like whatever this is.
No, Cat,
We have
this is worse than you. You
that
can't
is
even
worse than
tell
me.
the features on my face, and this is me constantly during
don't go
stream.
towards the light. Don't go towards the light. Come back to us.
Shit drives me fucking nuts just seeing my washed out face on stream.
We have the amazing V, who looks like. Did you add that knife? Is that new behind you over your shoulder?
Oh, that's a cosplay prop. Sorry.
No, don't take it down. It's leave it up. Leave it up.
Okay.
I watch V fall out of the chair trying to put the prop back up. Which it sounds like you got some new mic and headphone there, don't you?
I do.
Excellent,
My
new
other
equipment.
one busted, and the other one I bought also busted. So wireless now.
Excellent. We have always the incomparable Eric playing with us. How are you doing today, sir? How was your weekend without playing Adventure League without me?
Weekend was good because I got Fire Emblem, so I've been playing that to death.
Oh yeah, you were fine.
Yeah. Today could have been better, but I've got this now, so day will improve.
Awesome. We have the gorgeous Molly with us, who is back from recovered, hopefully, from your return from Spain, rested,
More jet lag.
and the beautiful hair.
Thank you. While since I've made it multicolored. Needed a change.
Well, it looks fantastic. And then we have off camera with us Steve and Chief. Steve is in transit, if I'm not mistaken, back home.
I am home.
Well, he'll be on with us on camera. I've stalled just long enough.
Just long enough.
And while Chief is here with us in voice, at least,
spirit.
And in spirit,
I believe Chief's fucking dead.
Yeah. Too many commissions. They took me out.
Chief has broken themselves. So if you're looking for artwork,
don't go to me. No,
let Chief recover and then go to Chief. I will mention something about this mug. This is an awesome copper mug. This was from Wild Bill's Old Fashioned Soda Pop Company.
Oh, you found them. Awesome.
I did. And the very first thing I did, because that day, it was literally my first day. So it was Thursday. I left my game, my table, everybody cheering, telling me what a fantastic time they had and how they cannot wait. And it was, oh, you're fantastic. You're great. Even after I killed two of them and made them spend treasure checkpoints to revive themselves. Sorry. Welcome to Gen Con, motherfucker.
Not sorry.
Wow.
Anyways, I found the food. I went to the vendor hall. It's like 12:40. Haven't eaten at all that day. And I'm wandering the vendor hall because I wanted to see what was there. Okay, I'm going to go that direction because somebody told me the food trucks are that direction. So I'm just going to make my way through the vendor hall until I get there. 3 o'clock, I finally leave the vendor hall after 2 hours of wandering around and find the food trucks, which had lines, substantial lines. But I saw one line that everybody was standing in, and it had this old looking storefront, like a saloon storefront. As I get around and I see these, and I'm like, okay, first of all, that's a cool mug. Then I hear the deal. Buy one of these, refill it all day for free the day you buy it. Then spend $5 the next day and refill your drink as often as you want to that day. And $5. So what people were doing was buy the mug, give them a $20 extra bill the next 4 days, free soda. Stood there since I hadn't had anything to eat yet, filled it full of root beer, promptly drained the root beer. The ice hadn't even had a chance to melt. Walked back over. Like I walked out, walked back over, filled it up with cream soda, and then drained that, and then filled it back up with cream soda again, and walked over and actually got some food.
They have any black
Was it
cherry
like a
that
bunch
time?
of barrels displayed?
Yeah, it's a bunch of barrels with taps.
That's where I
And-
got this mug.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one of theirs. I did not buy the double barrel, which is like the insulated one, so this one has a nice little sheen of condensation, but that's okay.
They've expanded their repertoire.
Because it's an awesome looking mug, and this is the one that I had to get. I was like, yeah, this is the one I want right here. And for $26 after tax is what I spent for the mug. That I'll keep for a long, long time, and I got to refill it full of soda all day. Anyways, to say the least, I had a blast. It was great. Now let's get on with the game.
For anybody curious, for anybody curious, the D&D Beyond overlay has been updated.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. When last we left our intrepid new group, they had gone 16 miles from the town and the procession that was leading the crone, the catalyst, and the warrior. Warrior. Yeah, not warrior, warrior. Warrior. But basically the charge of the catalyst, the one to keep them safe. However, with that in mind, the group sets off and rests for the evening. Having met one another and found out some intriguing things, the group of masked men, all from different tribes of people, as well as the very flamboyant bard. That's an appropriate word for him, actually, now that I think about it. Flamboyant. Along with the sticky-fingered thief and the non-hyperbole having wizard, or at least I should say sage, well studied. They found themselves resting for the evening after having him cast a ritual that protected their small circle. As dawn breaks the next day, there is a light cover of dew over everything. Those tents that are needed are erected for purposes of serving food out of them. And we watch as our crew awaken. Who's our first one up?
Probably Zastari. Because I only need to meditate for 4 hours. I have perfected yoga to the point where I only need to meditate for 4 hours.
It's only five positions that she knows.
And they're all extremely provocative. All of them. Every single one. She picked them on purpose.
This is my new yoga pose called the spread eagle.
Number 17.
Number 17.
I call this...
Spread east to the gods.
I call this the middleman
Spread
taxpayer.
Spread east to the god.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I call this one face down, ass up.
I regret nothing.
Uh-huh.
For the record, I regret nothing.
Sure you don't.
Not yet.
At least right now.
All right. You can see that people are starting to pack up their wares and goods, like I said, with the exception of those few tents that are still opened up for serving breakfast and other goods. Any preparations you would like to make this day before we begin?
Getting a turkey leg.
It's not the Ren
Any
Fest,
smell
is
of food. Ezra's already out. He's up.
This is
packed.
D&D. Everything is the Ren Fair.
it? I hate that you're not wrong. It bothers me, but you're not wrong. Ultimately, what is D&D but the Ren Fair?
Yep.
All right. So other than getting a turkey leg, you animal. So, preparing to set out for the day with no real obstructions or things to do.
I mean, other than like maybe preparing my hair a little bit.
Teases it up.
Oh yeah.
Hair, a little bit of makeup, some blush.
Guy liner.
Just a little bit of red tint on the lip.
Well, he's only going to use bronzer. He's not going to know what to do with it. He's just going
Oh
to
my
use it
God.
wherever he feels it's necessary.
This can go here.
You
this
know
can
what?
go
You
here,
know what?
this can go
Zastaria
here.
is just going to sit there and watch him do it.
He practices his smolder.
Get a little
then
hand mirror.
she's gonna sit there and watch him do it, and she is going to be desperately trying not to laugh.
Is he just sitting there going,
Doll would also be watching, but in like fascination.
you seem to have drawn a small audience.
A quick question. Would Saitel be behind him right now?
I don't know.
Probably.
Would Saitel
Yes.
be behind him now?
I'll say yes. I'll say yes, he is. He'll sort of get up, watch this happening. He'll look at Zestari and just make a motion. And he is going to use Minor Illusion to make, at least while he's sitting there, the makeup look like clown makeup. And
describe to me how you think that works. How does that work in your mind? Considering what you and I know about how magic works, for its traditions, its rituals, and things like that, how does that appear?
Him huff a little something.
Yeah. Well, let's see. He's going to take a moment. He'll look at one of his books, study him for a second while he's doing this, look at it, and just sort of walk up, look at him in the face, just pat his cheek a bit, and like, no, you look a little bit like a clown, and then he'll leave.
So, has anyone ever heard of neuro-linguistic programming?
Basically what I was going for.
He
I'm glad you
walks
picked
up
up
to
on
you.
it.
Yeah, he walks up to you. He touches your shoulder, and he says it in such a way that, as you look back in the mirror, you realize that you've applied this in such a ludicrous manner. Your cheeks have been tweaked to the point where they glow with red. The lipstick is just applied in a ludicrously large circle around your mouth. You realize that the powder that you were going to help take the sheen off is now applied so thick that your face nearly appears as a pallor as opposed to the smooth bronzed tan skin that you normally have. Sets off quite the picture with your hair.
Yeah, he'll walk by the stars like, would you like some breakfast?
Yes, thank you. I'm coming.
I'll go
God.
get some then.
No, No, I will assist you so we can bring it back for everybody else. And she is going to stand up and just put her gear on because she can't. As soon as she knows she's out of earshot of Mello, she is going to start laughing her ass off.
Just off in the distance, almost imperceptible because it's far enough away. Just the cackling, mad laughter of someone who saw one of the funniest things that they've ever seen. Like one of those things where they can't even breathe, so it doesn't even laugh anymore. It's just a sound of...
Saitel's just like patting him, like, come on. You
eyes squeeze so tight that you're in tears. Yeah, like...
Do you need some water?
Oh, I'm going to.
Okay, let's go get you some food, get you some water. Come on. He'll sort of like usher her over to the food tent.
Oh,
all right.
God. That man is ridiculous. I can't wait to see what else he comes up with.
Yeah, he's if nothing else, he certainly does know how to attract attention, doesn't he?
Well, that's one way to put it.
Yeah, it really is. And if nothing else, if we do end up journeying with him and the rest of them for a while won't be boring.
That it certainly will not.
I can't believe he's a troll. Is Tangaroa still sleeping?
He is
I
going
mean-
to be awake, and he will be like from memory with some charcoal. And on some parchment, he will be sketching what he remembers of the town, like trying to make a map.
Okay. Yeah, he is far removed from his normal place, but it seems to be where he needs to be.
I was gonna say, so, how are you feeling after last night?
Oh fuck! I don't know.
You got hammered like a new nail. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna roll for it. Really hungover.
Really hungover?
What did you roll? Just a D20? What were you basing it on?
I just rolled the d20, and if I rolled below a 10, he's hungover.
And I assume you hit below a 10.
I like a 4.
You don't get so much as a sound as a.
He's like really like mindlessly sketching. And he's like,
So it's like 15 lines that are this way, but none of them are straight. It's like 15 horizontal lines and then a few vertical lines. It's like hash work.
Someone thinks it's
no,
just
he
handwriting.
knows what it is, like
Yeah.
what the map is
He
showing,
just
but I don't
goes,
know if anybody else will.
Town.
He's gonna go fetch some water for Tangaroa.
Good.
All right. Well, after breakfast, water fetched, and everything else like that, the procession starts to move. Again, you see the crone on horseback with the knight and the catalyst riding right in front of him, the knight and the little girl. The procession starts to move slowly again, trudging along at roughly 2 miles an hour. But as you walk, you kind of notice that certain people peel off. They start to ride away, going back to their daily lives, realizing that while this is a momentous occasion, they also can only go so far before they have to, respond to their obligations. However, most of the procession still sticks together, and you continue your walk to the destination that you're not really sure about, but it seems
Nexus.
to be that. Yeah.
Some of us
The one
pretend
that
that we don't
Sai
have
told
obligations.
has a pretty good idea about.
Yes, he does.
Whoops.
Keen mind, yay.
The second day comes and goes. The large procession, still being large, seems to keep anything that would be a threat at bay. So no wild animals, no bandits or raiders or anything else like that. As you continue along, you once again watch as the tent is set up. Everybody seems to eat and revel. The celebration in full swing. And then as the rest of the night goes on, some of the revelers continue to revel while you yourselves find sleep or rest of some sort. The next morning, once again, everything is rolled up. And it continues on this day. Slowly, the numbers start to dwindle down to, in the hundreds.
I would like to mention every night, just because it's one of his daily rituals that makes him feel better. Saito will do that alarm ritual thing. And
Every
like
night.
for him, basically, it's basically something that I do. Is like if anyone crosses a certain threshold, your body immediately just jolts awake. I'm like that. Someone gets to my room, I'm just sing. I'm up.
Better than what I originally thought you were going to say, which is, as part of his evening rituals, he just shaves his body completely from head to toe.
No.
Is there a stream nearby? I gotta go do a thing. The third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, and again the numbers are starting to dwindle. From in the hundreds down to the low hundreds, then down to maybe 80 or so. Eventually the number starts to dwell. The big tent that was being put up every day is no longer there. You see a smaller kind of a makeshift stand, a guy with a few items to kind of, put out for you. Eventually, that goes away as well, and you are left to your rations. Now, all of you should have some rations, if I'm not mistaken, as part of your backpacks, unless some of you didn't choose any rations.
I believe I do.
Let me make sure.
Well,
I play an
mine-
idiot, so
mine apparently does not come with rations.
Because you took the scribes.
The scholars pack, yeah. So he would have definitely been squirreling some away.
Okay. You can still purchase some before you set out.
Yeah, he will definitely.
What kind of layout are we currently in?
It is a mostly farm, so plains kind of area. Low hills here and there, and sparse copses of trees occasionally that pop up.
Do you have rations, but can I try and hunt for something?
You can. Survival check, please.
Okay.
I will help.
I was gonna say, if I see
Or
Tango
hunt on my
going out,
own.
I'd like to help as well.
Sure.
I do not help.
Do we have any outside?
Well, the way you aid is you give advantage to the other individual as you were helping them. So
Mm.
basically, she rolls with advantage.
Good.
Oh, okay.
What are
You
your
were
rolls?
muted,
What were your rolls?
Tuna?
Oh, I rolled a 4, and then I rolled a 16.
Good.
So it's total survival of 16. Okay. You are able to scrape together some food. What is your background again?
Knight.
No. Oh, a knight. Okay. Noble. Excellent. You gather enough food to supply any of those party members who do not have rations with some extra food, some berries. You're able to fell some small coney, so you have some rabbit as well to eat. And it's
Well, can he try and skin the rabbit?
survival check. I mean, I assumed you would field dressed it as part of the survival check.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. All right. So I will skin the rabbit, and I will, to the less fortunate who do not have
rabbit.
food, he will pass out most of what he got because he has enough food.
Sure thing. Yeah. So
This file.
you guys stay well fed for the evening. While it's not, the feast that you may have had, it is still more than enough to keep your bellies full. As you rest for the evening, once again putting on your alarm spell, as you always do, you catch the first sounds of the patter of rain. You watch as a few groups who are camped together start to hastily throw tents up over their heads so as to keep the rain out, or at least away from their, persons. Nobody wants to sleep in the water. Well, most people don't want to sleep in the water.
Doll is going to be out, just playing in it, having a good old time out in the rain.
Doll, if you're going to play in the rain, you're going to have to put some clothes on.
Nah, he looks better like that.
So,
Soggy froggy.
is that canon? Is he out there in the buff dancing in the rain?
No, no. He's got on his usual clothes. They're just sticking to him.
Okay. So Doll is out prancing in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, what's Scytale doing in regards to his manuals and things like that as the rain starts to fall?
He is making sure they are well wrapped up and hidden inside of his pack, and the pack wrapped up.
Everything's wrapped down twice. You had them in treated leather or treated cloth, right? Like waxed cloth. That's water resistant.
Yeah.
Okay. The rain does not last long, only a passing shower, and it lasts for maybe 20, 30 minutes. It's not enough to really drown out anything. It was a nice soft rain, and as the night goes on, you hear the beautiful sounds of the chirps of crickets and the croaking of frogs nearby. Morning finds you awake, and as you travel once more, you realize the party's getting smaller the next day. Again, nothing eventful, but now that the party is down to about 40 people from its original over 200.
Hmm.
You watch as there's a kind of a conclave or a meeting of everyone coming together. They wave you, asking you to join them. Now, you can see that the crone is standing with the knight. They are having a deep conversation. And eventually, she speaks up once again. Her voice, this croaking thing, still large enough to get to the entire crowd. She stands and puts a hand up. Soon you will all leave us, except save those what were meant to be here. There is nothing wrong. You are not faltering in your path. You are merely living your own. At this point in time, I would ask all those who feel they are worthy to continue this journey to step forward. And you watch as a few people kind of muster their way. It's a very large, broad-shouldered, farm-fit young man who steps forward. He's got a like a tall grass blade, like a flat scythe that he's got it. So it's a big handle, and there's just a huge blade on the end of it. And he plants the handle in there. And you watch as a few other people come up, some hunters, all of various ages, sizes, shapes, and they all step forward. Pretty soon you realize there's a gathering of about maybe eight or so people up there. What are you yourselves doing there?
Oh, I'll step forward
All right.
with the huge ass glaive on my back.
Looking over at the farm guy going,
Say, Saito looks absolutely nothing like a fighter. Just dude in a robe with big old backpack full of books and, a crossbow and a dagger. That's about it. He just sort of just looks at the people, sort of looks at himself a little bit and like, but he'll follow Zestari.
all right.
Guro
Actually-
will follow.
Actually, he will step up and he'll look at the crowd and is like, what do you mean by those who are worthy? Do you know who they are?
She leans forward as she's kind of like, she doesn't really move from her place as she's just looking at the crowd still. And she just kind of looks at you and like peers at you from her staff and then gives you a wink and then leans back again.
Okay. He'll sort of like lean over a little bit and say, sorry. She winked at me. I don't know what that means.
Probably don't need to worry about it, my dear.
Okay.
Walking up with chest puffed out, not about to be outdone by anybody here.
Just cocksure and ready to roll. All right.
Guro will go up. He doesn't look quite as cocky. Just kind of like just he's optimistic but not conceited.
V.
I was away for a bit. What's happening? I
There's
had
a
to go say
large,
bye to my grandma.
Oh,
there was a large gathering. Bye, Grandma. There was a large gathering. The remainder of the folks that were there, and the crone basically says that those who must leave, there's nothing wrong with taking your own path. However, there are those who will travel on with her. She asks for those who feel that they are worthy to step forward.
Azura will step forward.
Okay.
This feels right for him to continue. So
What about Doll?
He'd give an unsure glance back in the direction of his home and his family. Then he'd slowly step up with everyone else.
Okay. As the rest of the party steps forward, she herself starts to sort of move through the crowd. And as she does, she starts looking over the group. The young man with the broad shoulders and the grass-cutting blade. She takes her staff and she touches him in the chest. She moves down the row. You see a pair of what appear to be like slender-looking youths, maybe in their late teens. She has like brown hair that's kind of wild, barely held back. He himself has also brown hair, but it's uh, cut short, but still looks unkempt. And she touches both of them. You see what appears to be like a wiry young man who can't kind of sit still. He looks like he's bouncing, and you see he's working a coin amongst his fingers, back and forth, back and forth. She looks at him for a second, and she leans forward and sniffs, and then she just shakes her head no and keeps moving. He looks crestfallen. He looks really upset. She walks up to another slightly taller young man, lean like a reed. And as she stops and looks at him, you can see he's wearing very plain clothes, but there's something about his face, his countenance, that just lends to this uneasy feeling. And he seems like in his they're not uneasy feeling, excuse me. This feeling that if you are always in his presence, you will always be okay. And she just kind of looks at him and taps him on the chest with the staff. She moves over to a young woman, her face, her nose kind of tilted up and kind of haughty looking. You can see she has a pair of swords crossed behind her back, and she rests her elbows, or like her elbows, on the blades and crosses her fingers. The crone just looks at her, frowns, and shakes her head and keeps moving. And one by one, she keeps moving down the crowd. She comes to Doll, and she kind of looks at Doll for a second, looking Doll up and down. And she reaches out for a second like she's going to touch you with the staff, and then stops and shakes her head. She moves to what appears to be a brutish young man. He seems to be just big, thick browed. You can see his knuckles are bruised and healed and scarred from where he's been in countless fights with his hands. You can see a big, heavy chain wrapped around his waist, and he's got a big barreled chest and big stomach. She looks him up and down and like quickly touches him with a staff and then scurries on to the next person. She does this all the way through, touching some, not touching some. She comes to Saitiel. She stops and she looks at you for a moment. She reaches out her staff and touches you. She goes to the starry. She looks for a moment at you and then shakes her head no. She moves to Tangaroa. Her eyes go a little bit wide for a moment. She nods her head and touches you. She passes by Ezra and she passes by Mello. So of your collective little group, only 2 of you she has chosen, or at least touched with the staff. She walks back to the front of the line. The rest of you may feel free to follow. I will not stop you. That is not my place. The ones that I have touched are my vanguard. Walk the rest of the way with us. With that, she climbs up onto a horse with the help of the knight, and they begin to proceed. Many of those that she passed over grumble and complain about not being chosen. Many of them fade away. Everyone that she touched, with the exception of you all, because you have your own free wills, seem to follow her. What about you guys? What are you doing?
Sidetail's gonna follow. He's gonna sort of go up over there, and it looks like he's writing in his book, making notes, things like that. And he'll just sort of look up and he's like, Vanguard, I'm not the best fighter, you know.
She looks down at you and smiles an old smile, wrinkles pushing up against the sides of her face, her eyes squinting slightly as she does, and she says, "Sometimes the best vanguard isn't about being a good fighter, but understanding how the battlefield lays out and being tactically minded. Knowing when to sound a retreat is almost as valiant as when to press the charge. Any fool brute can swing a sword. Sometimes you need a general." And she just smiles at you again, and then she just continues riding her horse a little ahead of you.
And they'll just walk along looking thoughtful at that.
I feel that hyperbole is lost on him sometimes. It's like, I was just waiting for him to go, but I'm not a general.
That's one of those things that it made him stop and think, as opposed to just immediately saying what was on his mind.
A general what?
Can you see that? He's doing it as hard as he can.
If you didn't,
right.
There is no middle finger big enough.
It's going to take two of them. All
Start
right.
pulling them out of my pocket in a second.
He started just unfolding hands. What about the rest of you? Tangaroa, you were chosen.
We'll kind of look at the crowd, but then he'll look over at and Doll, and then he'll approach them and be like, "Some mistake. I think you two belong with us. I'm with him."
I don't want to be alone.
Please. I'm just a baby.
I don't know these customs.
Whereas I told you, like, ooh, new stuff.
Like, I don't know the custom here. She touched me with the stick. What does that mean? Do I go? Do I stay? How far behind the horse should I walk?
Well, if you want company, I'm content to follow you and help.
And then he looks over at Ezra.
I will join. This feels right to follow, whether they want me or not.
And what are we waiting for? Come. And he turns around and he just immediately starts following.
And that leaves the two of you. Zastari?
The old lady doesn't know what the hell she's talking about.
Maybe she does.
And
of
maybe
course-
she's just batshit crazy and doesn't know what she's talking about. I mean, come on, a man like you? Not choosing a man like you for a vanguard. What is wrong with this woman?
Her
Oh,
stick
it's
goes
fine. I'm not
missing.
ticklish.
Wait. I have to ask. Are you still wearing the clown makeup?
It's been several days, so no.
It has been a few days. You're right. Sorry about that.
I feel like that old woman's stick is gonna go missing really soon.
Out of nowhere, it's gone.
He's Mello starts the very first prank.
Ha! Got her.
I'm only using it to tickle the people she tapped, because that's what he thinks Vanguard means.
Wow.
That they're ticklish.
He's 100% right. Why not?
Wow.
He's so extra, he costs more money.
God, I have no words.
That level of mellow is going to cost you like 50 cents extra.
Just paint him yellow will be good.
But then I'm just going to, I'm going to jog after Satiel once he's finished talking to the crone. And then walk next to him with my hands behind my back, looking as innocent as I possibly can, which is very innocent.
Oh, hello.
Give me a deception check.
A halo slowly forms.
No, actually, performance. I just want to see how this looks.
Okay.
Mm.
Well, that's a 10.
Sure. You look somewhat innocent.
I don't look like I did anything wrong, because I didn't
There
do
you
anything
go.
wrong, because I haven't committed any sort of acts of foulness in
In the
a
last,
few days, actually.
yeah,
So,
you've been in your best behavior.
which is strange, and I'm getting antsy, so,
Yeah.
you know, something might go missing. Anyway,
Owl's head turns 180 degrees around, look at her, and chirps hello.
and she
You've
just,
gotten used to the owl.
yep, she just steps up next to him. So, one of the Vanguard. That's an honor.
I'm still not entirely sure what it means, other than she, I think, means to use my intellect for something?
I mean, yeah? Why wouldn't you use the resource available to you? You are a very handy resource available to her.
I suppose that's true. She did mention something about knowing when to sound retreats being just as good as leading the charge, and any idiot can swing a sword. But sometimes you think what she said exactly was sometimes you need a general?
So sometimes you need somebody who has a good tactical mind, like yours.
How would you know?
Let's call it a hunch. Or a gut feeling, if you prefer.
Yeah, I get those sometimes. It's usually what leads me to really interesting places. So I found this place.
Well, I mean, it's how I found myself in your lap those few days ago.
It's very true.
Gut instinct that you were going to be interesting.
Thank you. Appreciate that. He just scritches the owl.
All right. The day passes, and you notice that while some of them that were turned away, or should say she didn't select, still seem to tag along with you all. The number of total escorts, counting yourselves, because I assume Mello's like, yeah, I'm still going along with this. This should be a riot.
He's determined to see who's ticklish.
His purpose in life.
Leave no stone unturned.
There are only about 22. The 8 overall that she selected for the Vanguard, including the 2 of you. So we're out on the camera. Because my camera layout is different than everything else. The 2 of you, 6 others that are making up the Vanguard, and then the rest of them are tagging along. The 8th, you guys travel for about 8 days. Again, it's uneventful. The weather is starting to turn just a bit colder as you go north. It's not terrible. It's just a little chillier at night. Dips down into maybe the mid 50s. And then during the daytime, it's a comfortable, low 80s. And as you move along, the landscape itself starts to change. Going from the long, flat plains with occasional rolling hill and copses of trees, you can see that the forest starts to take over. Wild and growing. Large trees that are ancient, lichen and moss hanging from them, large vines tying between them. The path itself is still pretty straight and clear, made of mostly scree, occasional mud patches, things like that. No ruts in it. It seems like it's drugged clean by someone. You're not sure who. But
It's a fat bear.
the horses plod along. The bear comes out of the woods every day. Oh, damned humans!
While we are walking along, you said there's lichen.
Mhm.
I grab some, like as he goes, put it in his bag.
Awesome. Yep, definitely. Um,
Just grabbing some.
You stuff it into your mouth.
please.
Not for eating.
So as you move along, the forest grows, and you can see that the knight that's riding on the horse with the young woman. He motions to the two archers that you saw, the two youths that had the bows and the unkempt brown hair. He motions them over, and you see him walk up. He doesn't slow his horse, and they trot along beside him. You can see that he's talking to them, and he's pointing to either side. And you watch as both of them just kind of meld into the forest, moving quickly. It seems like they're not slowed at all by the density of the trees. There's underbrush here and there that will keep them from moving completely. But for them, they just seem to move without any troubles whatsoever. For long, you lose sight of them even altogether.
I'll say,
The
noting
forest
that,
seemed to swallow them.
Sayatil's gonna do a quick tiny whistle, and the owl will lift off his shoulder and fly out ahead of the party.
Okay. How high up and how far out?
He's gonna stay about 100 feet ahead of him,
Okay.
and probably, I'd say 30, 35, 40-ish feet up.
Okay. The path itself is about 30 feet across, allowing for a large amount of traffic to travel on both sides. However, as wide as the path is, you guys are kind of keeping close together. It winds through the large trees, and when I say large trees, they're not as big around as redwoods, but they are ancient oak trees, so they're pretty big, and you can see that some of the branches dip low enough that you could step from the path onto the branch and climb up the tree. There seems to be all deciduous trees. There are no conifers, pines, no firs, no anything like that. The leaves hang fat, and they are kind of starting to go yellow or golden as the fall starts to set in. And you can see, though, that they dapple the ground in greens and yellows and golds, occasionally with a red here and there. The canopy of the forest isn't so thick that there's no light, but it is pretty dim in here. Dim enough that, out about 60 feet or so, it gets kind of dark in the forest. And the immediate thing that you know is you enter into, it's almost like a tunnel the way the trees come together. And as you enter the forest, you see that it gets immediately a lot cooler, dropping from that wonderful, like mild 80s down to probably in the mid 70s. You almost lose 10 degrees.
Doll is honestly just in awe.
Given the land that he's from, yeah, this is probably very stark. The trees here are something that Tangaroa has probably never really seen.
Yeah, no, he is equally as impressed.
He would be touching everything.
Quick way to lose a finger.
Trees.
Hand on one of the other chosen's face.
You don't know where that might be, or what might be on it.
It's right there.
Would not quite be touching it, but he would have his like journal out, and he would be like sketching.
I mean, there are some subspecies of spiders that can flatten themselves to hang on tree limbs, and will ambush you the moment you get close.
Fascinating. He writes it down.
Doll will reluctantly listen.
Do we have to burn this entire forest down?
Let's not. It's a pretty neat forest.
As you're moving along through the forest, I would like 4. Are you guys walking in the? I mean, I can tell you where the horses are. The horses are walking not quite in the middle, just off side to the middle, like they would be on the right side, like kind of peasant American driver. But they're plodding along on the rightish side of the road. The vanguard is spread out behind them, but they're allowing them to lead the way. Again, the two youths have disappeared. The two youths have disappeared into the forest.
And the
Where
owl is ahead,
flying
keeping an eye on things. We'll occasionally
Mhm.
stop, sit on a branch, watch them fly off again.
Mhm.
So Sari is actually probably wandering among the different groups,
Just kind of
learning what she can
floating in and
about
out.
them.
Give me investigation.
That is an 8.
Okay. Most of them are tight-lipped, but what information you do gather, they're from all over, but mostly from that local area. The vanguard themselves, most of the people who weren't chosen you hear them grumbling about why weren't they worthy? What was it that maybe set them apart? There seems to be that constant confirmation or questioning of why not? What did I do wrong? You gather that the farm. You do learn that the big farm kid, his name is Jolly, Jolly. It's not his real name, but that's what they call him. And you can see why, as he constantly has a smile on his face, and he just seems to be happy about it. This is a lot different from where I'm from. It's real pretty up in here. This is nice. They don't have these kind of trees where I'm from. Mostly, they don't have a whole lot of trees where I'm from. It's usually just a lot of flat land there. That's why I got the scythe here, so I can cut down the thick grass when it gets too tall. But hopefully someday, my brothers, they're bigger than me. But hopefully someday I'll get to drive the cart and the plow and plow up the ground. Right now, though, I can't do that. But Dad said that this should be a good trip for me because I don't really have much use around the farm. They call me kind of fumbly with my hands. Yeah.
Ava immediately thinks I must protect this child at all costs.
I'm gonna fist fight a dad. Jeez.
Have you ever actually used that scythe in combat? I know that you said that you used it to deal with the tall grass, but have you ever actually fought with it?
Looking at it, you can see that the handle is worn smooth, but not smooth where it can loose, but smooth where the wood's been worn down. And as you say that, he lets his hands slide together, bringing it up like he would a sledgehammer, and then lets go and swings it around. He pulls it and twirls it around his head before laying in his other hand. I had to hit a couple bandits and a couple wolves with it. I've used it a few times. Yes, ma'am.
Huh. Well,
He's pulled some weeds.
even if you weren't chosen, I'm sure that the Catalyst feels much safer with you here.
I'll be right honest with you, missus. I don't know why she chose me. I mean, I'm not the brightest like your friend over there. You look more capable with that big thing you got on your back. That's a big old blade right there.
See, the way you talked about your family and your dreams and your aspirations. You, my dear, have this wonderful thing called compassion. And that is probably why she chose you.
He kind of tucks his chin. You can see the edges of his cheek and his tanned skin kind of blush a little bit. Thank you. Nobody's ever said nothing like that to me before.
Well, it's not a problem. It's not a weakness. And you hold on to that no matter what. You hear me?
Yes'm, you're real nice. Thank you. And he kind of picks his step up a little bit as he walks.
By the end of the campaign, this kid's wearing like plate mail, leading armies into battle or something.
By the end of this, he's the first to die.
Oh.
Lead me to my hopes.
But no, like Zastari is gonna walk around, and even like with people like saying, "Oh well, why not me?" She's she's weaving the flattery in that, you know, like, even if you weren't chosen, you're still here. Like, of the 200 some that started out, like, look at how many, like, we can see from beginning to end on this line, like, you're still here. Even if she doesn't think that you're Vanguard material, and she does, like, she puts material in quotation marks, you know, you're still here, you still have a purpose, you know? Just because you're not selected for something important doesn't mean you aren't important.
And you hear that a lot of them take what you have to say to heart. There's some that are like, you know, they're kind of like, yeah, I guess so. And you see that they don't really believe it. But for the most part, it seems to weave through with those who are complaining.
Okay. And then she's just going to kind of not really skip her way over to Satiel, but she definitely doesn't look like she's walking. Almost looks like she's dancing in those heels, but it's more just because she keeps the heel portion out of the dirt,
right,
so that she doesn't get
right.
stuck.
So she's got those little trays that you put on the heels so that.
No, she doesn't. No, she's walking on the balls of her feet, so that her heels aren't touching the ground. She's actually, it looks like she's dancing her way
All right.
back up to Satiel, because if she puts the heels in, she's gonna sink into the ground.
She's moonwalking back away.
Something like that. And then on her way over, she's just like, "Don't choose me for the damn Vanguard. Show this old lady."
Are you bitter?
She is! She is! Not that
Are
anybody
you,
knows, but she's the youngest of four, and she's always overlooked for everything.
Yeah, Satya will look over. It's like, are you done making your rounds?
Of course. Coming back to see the most interesting man here.
It's nice of you to say. It's really nice of you to go comfort them, too. I know some of them needed it.
Yes, well, just doing the good thing.
It's never a bad thing to do.
Yes, well, it's kind of the boring thing to do. But nobody said that there was going to be fighting on this adventure, so we're just here to escort somebody, because what could possibly go wrong with that?
Don't. He's like halfway to like covering her mouth with his hands, but she finishes the sentence like, you know, my the man who raised me, the head of the monastery I lived at. That's one of the phrases he told me that you should never say, because then it's like the entire world just rise up against you.
Yes, but see, here's the difference. You say it because you don't want anything bad to happen. I'm saying it because I'm bored, and I want something to happen, so therefore nothing is actually going to happen.
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, one of us is going to be right. Is it going to be you with all your smarts, or is it going to be me, who just is incredibly bored and is going to continue to be bored until something happens?
Well, don't really have anything for you to do, so I can't really help with that.
Trust me, there's nothing that anybody here has for me to do. The knight has his archers going out into the forest ahead of us to scout to make sure that the party is safe, because he's worried about the catalyst, although the catalyst could do with some real world encounters and experience before she's off to do whatever cloistered nonsense she's off for.
Oh, I'm doing that too. He says as he's standing like right next to her, following along.
Yes, I know. I know.
As you prowl around, for lack of a better way of saying, and ask questions, you guys learn the rest of the names of the party. You see that the two youths that you learn their names, and I'm calling them that now. The male, the boy, is named Leope. Liope. Leope. Liope for those watching at home. The girl's name is Polea. Polleya. Polea.
And you were giving me a hard time about my name?
Hey, I'm spelling it for you, okay? Get over it. The tall, thin boy that seems to be comforting in his presence, his name is Beckett. Becket. Beckett. The other two members that you find are she appears to be maybe in her early 20s or so. A little on the round side, but she seems pretty in face, and she seems not really world traveled. But her name is Moriana, Mori and then Anna, Moriana. And the last one that you find, or the last one of the group, is a rather androgynous one. Playful to a fault, seems to be very flirty with people. Um, has kind of a huskier voice, and so you can't really place it. Their age is kind of one of those, maybe in their early 20s, but then again, maybe in their late 20s. You're not really sure. The only name you ever get is Hawk, Hawk, with an E on the end of it. Hawk. Hawk and Mello would probably get along swimmingly because Hawk seems very full of themselves, and you see a rapier on their side. Supple black leather boots that come up all the way to the knee and then fold over. You can see loose pants that kind of billow at the knee because of the way the boots are. They're wearing a like an under the breast corset that's tied, and you can see that there are leather pieces around like a pauldron that's kind of made of leather over a loose white shirt that they're wearing. It's just on one sleeve. Big gloves that kind of have those, those fencing gloves. They're thick brown gloves, and the hand rests easily on the beautiful rapier. The hair is red, like auburn red, like that sharp red. Auburn's not sharp red, but anyways, it's a sharp red hair color, like Merida. There you go. Thank you, by the way, for if you guys get a chance, you should see the pictures of Pizza Devils. You should see the pictures of Sarah dressed for the cosplay. She had the red Merida wig. We've all tried to convince her to dye her because it looks great on her. But yeah, it's that kind of a red color, but it's cut real short, shaved on the sides, but it like stands up in this wonderful oomph on the top of the head. But again, just very, very charismatic, but very, like I said, very androgynous. Just never uses. No one ever uses a pronoun with the character. They always call them Hawk. It's Did you guys hear the story about Hawk? No. How'd it go? Well, and if they do, it's usually they. Hawk had these two guys, anyways, fighting in an alleyway, or at least that's what Hawk said, and the story goes on.
Wink, wink.
As you're walking along, it is. Cannot believe you said what's their second half. Out of the forest, you see Leope, the young man. He comes bounding, like using the tree to slow his descent. He comes sliding down out of the tree, and marches over. You can see that his feet, much like dolls, are bare with the exception of like some leather wraps that cup the foot and then cup the ankle. But his are like a mottled brown green color. And about that time, you see the young woman. She drops from the tree as well and moves over. The cloak that she has on is pulled up and it's deep set, so you can't even see her face in it. She throws the hood back, revealing herself. they immediately come over and they start talking in low tones, but loud enough that some of it can be heard. Those close enough can give me perception checks.
Is it just like between the two of them, or are they with?
You can see it's between the knight and the two kids, the two youths.
Okay.
Uh, Liope
You
and
said
Polea.
perception.
Mm-hmm.
13.
18.
Got a 19.
16.
Okay, so an 18 and a
18.
19 are our highest. 18.
18.
Okay. The rest of you can't really make it out. However, you hear them hiss, and about the time that they do, you watch as the knight holds up a hand, closes his fist, and the whole procession just comes to a stop. He slides off the left side of the horse, drags the young woman off and puts her down, grabs the crone and puts her down. He immediately goes to the other side of the horse, walking around the front. And there, as part of the barding, you can see several bands that are kind of like that big. And you see small pieces that look like notches sticking off of them. He immediately starts taking several of them in his arms, and he puts one in front of the two women, the young girl, the little girl, and the crone. He stacks another one. You can hear him latching something into place. And when he's done with all four pieces, it looks like a tower shield that's light enough to be moved and can be taken apart quickly. He immediately grabs Jolly and slides him forward. And Jolly's like, What do I do? You make sure that nothing touches them. Either of them. Lay down your life as a vanguard. Pats him on the shoulder and starts to walk away. About that time, you hear him whistle. And watch Beckett walks forward, as well as Moriana and the rest of them. Hawk kind of bounds over on her on the balls of their feet. What's going on? These two report something in the forest that's not. I'm concerned. Here's what I need. I need a perimeter set up. We're going to take the horses as part of the shield. I've got the tower shield set up in front of them. I want anybody with range to stand on either side using the horses cover. If the horse falls, we can replace him at the next town. If the catalyst or the crone falls, well, I'd rather not say. Get into positions. You can watch now as using the horse, he's kind of moved them out so that they're spread at an angle. And the tower shield is set up between like where their heads are. So you got the shield, horses, and their body links down there. Jolly's got his hand on like not on one of them, but kind of out over the two women. And you can see he's got his blade up, that spear basically up in his hand. Leope and Palea scamper and climb up the trees and disappear. They're like up the trees.
Before one of them do, Saito will sort of like tap one on the shoulder.
Mhm.
Just pick one at random.
Sure.
They'll say, where did you see this? What did it look like?
Palea, the female, looks at you for a moment, and she talks, and it's kind of it has a weird purr kind of to it, with the way she talks. If it weren't for the fact that you weren't sure what imminent danger is upon you, it would be almost soothing to hear it. They are in the trees somewhere. I have not seen them fully. Could be raiders, could be... I don't know.
As in up in the trees?
Yes. A small number of...
Saito's gonna do a quick whistle, and then his owl just sort of pink out from his jacket as it got called back to him.
Her eyes go wide for a second there, and she's like, later, and she turns to start striding towards the tree again.
The owl will take off and head in the direction they came from, like up into the trees. He's gonna see.
You
if
notice
he can use
that they
the owl
came
to spot
from
them.
both sides. When
Both
they came
sides.
back out, they both went on either side, and they came from their side when they were giving the information.
Okay. Well, he's going to send them the side she came. Since
Okay.
she's the one he talked to.
As you do so, the rest of the group waits with bated breath. You can see those who have bows have unslung them from their shoulders, setting arrows into the dirt of the path. They start to set up a perimeter protecting these two. And the tension in the air is palpable. Everybody's holding their breath. It seems like something is going to happen, but we don't know what.
Also something that he'll do. He'll pull the crone and the catalyst down, so they're in this sense. The catalyst is small child, I assume. He will sort of put him in the same 5-foot square, basically. Sort of sit them down and pull out his rod. He'll bite his pinky, run it across one of the symbols. Say, now you stay right here. This should be enough to fool most people. Don't move unless you have to. Okay? And he'll draw a line around them. And where they are, to other people, he is minor illusioning to make it look like a bundle of supplies is there instead of them.
So, using one of the rituals you have, you take a quick moment to do this. And what you basically do is taking sacks and things like that, you actually take and momentarily prop them so that they look as though they're there. Jolly stands out a bit, but that's okay because you've done what you need to do, at least to look like he's protecting them. So basically, you've handed it to them, pressing it up, and they're there. And because of the ritual and the tradition that you have, you've actually done a really good job. It's a remarkable. They'd have to get really close to see that it's not actual supplies or bundles of bags that are there. You don't have to wait long though, because before long you hear the sound of hoots. They are long, shrill cries, "Oh!" throughout the trees, and they are responded with higher pitched and lower pitched ones. And you hear the sound of the tree branches shaking. There is a sudden sound of thump, thump. And up ahead you watch as a figure drops to the road with a heavy thud. You see an arrow sticking out of their chest. It's not a very long arrow. It seems to be kind of short. And the fletchings on it, they almost trail. They kind of hang and droop. Like they're rigid and then they kind of hang and droop. You hear the sound of thump. And on your right side, you see another one and hit the ground. This distance, they're probably about 40 feet ahead of you guys. But I'd like for perception checks from everyone, please.
Okay. Do you want me to give one for the owl, too, because it's up in the trees as well?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
22.
20.
21. It was a
15.
not 20.
Saito got a 4.
All right.
Owl.
Saito's going, did you see those guys fall?
Yeah, basically. He's more like determined to make sure that his ritual held, I think, is what he's more focused on right now. Owl got a 19.
Excellent. Looking ahead, you can see that it looks like they have thick arms with fur all over them. They have what appears to be like elongated fingers with maybe like sharpened or jagged claws. But as you, with the higher in perceptions, look, you can see that it's not. It's all like wrapped leathers that the hide hasn't been cleaned with, which gives it a furry, shaggy look. And you can see that the fingers have had fitted gloves that attach to them, which give them this look of a longer fingers or longer fingernails and fingers. They all wear masks that are shaped of wood. The appearance that they have is of broad-shouldered, big-bodied things. And as we get into the initiative, I'd like to take 10 minutes, if you don't mind. When we come back, we're going to roll for initiative. Everybody stick around. because they're about to get into their first fight. This should be interesting.
And I only have one offensive spell, and it's melee.
The first
should be
fight,
great.
we all TPK.
Basically, his ranged option
Hey.
right now is crossbow. Like no joke.
Tradition
both of
wizard casts bolt.
Yeah,
Firebolt?
basically.
Nope, just bolt.
Bolt. Yeah. How? With this handy dandy little mechanic.
Exactly. I'm gonna refresh and we'll be right back. Stay tuned,
About as
everyone.
traditional as it gets.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Devil in a red dress, call
Bunch of idiots.
Yeah, basically.
Well, I take that back. I act like an
Like.
idiot. The rest, like.
I'm about to say I am the idiot. So,
I mean,
Okay.
sure, but we're live again, ladies and gentlemen, as we sat here
So-
and watched you two sniff your dice bags for the past 2.5 minutes.
I'm not even gonna fucking lie. This thing smells great. It's like a leather store.
Mm-hmm.
This was one that. This is the dice bag I got when I was there. It's hand stitched.
Mine's like a decade old. I have no excuse.
Mine smells like fresh new leather dice bag. It smells great.
oh my.
This is a judgment-free zone. You leave me alone, okay?
All
You
of
leave
the
me alone,
judgments.
okay?
All of the judgment.
Oh,
Hey,
look at
hey,
that! You get reverse inspiration.
Hey, Grumpy. We're gonna be at Dragon Con in less than a month.
I am not. I'm not going to be at Dragon Con. It's the one that falls around my birthday, and I can't make it.
Oh.
I don't have
That's
the money
a
for it
decent
or the
reason,
time
I
off.
think.
Yeah.
I don't have the time off or the money. I just can't make
I
it.
have to save up.
All right. Well, that being said, I think there was something somebody said about initiative.
Yes, I need to give you that.
That's me. Roll for initiative.
No, I'm rolling a different die for initiative. Hang on.
So you roll and then you add the initiative bonus that
Modifier.
you have?
That is correct.
Hmm.
18.
All right, hold on to it for just a moment, if you would. 8.
Maybe I shouldn't roll a different die.
Maybe you should just accept that you're going to be low on the initiative order, Steve.
It's okay to be on the bottom.
All right.
I highly doubt he's a top anyway.
Yikes.
Can't tell if that was a burn or not.
Um,
25 to 20.
baseball reference. Clean up batter.
Cytiel got a 20.
I have a 21.
I also have a 21.
Who's going first between the two of you?
What's your dex modifier?
That's
Plus
not
3.
how it works. You choose.
Ladies first.
literally.
Ladies first.
Fine, then it's me.
Aggressively lets the lady go first.
I said, instead of writing Ezra, I wrote extra.
That's me. That's fine. I'll take it.
Between a 20 and a 15.
Chief, that
What?
was you.
18? What?
Okay.
Sorry, I was indulging in Oreos.
Oreos are love, Oreos are life.
My mind was gone.
All right, between a 15 and a 10. No one? Okay. Between a 10 and a 5.
Oh.
I got a 7.
Okay.
Oh my god, Steve, no.
Steve, what did you have?
2 on the die, but I get a
Total of?
+1. So 3.
Does it
I mean,
make you feel good to know?
My owl got a 4.
Owl goes on your turn. To make you feel good to know that,
According to the spell, it says the owl has to move on its own initiative.
Make his
according to
life
the
easy.
DM.
Okay,
According to
never
the
mind.
DM.
DM says owl on my turn. Got it. I can roll with it.
If it makes you feel any better, Steve, I also rolled a 2. And I have a +1.
Makes me feel better.
Players go first, though. All right. With that being said, you see dropping out of the trees immediately all around you large hulking figures, their bodies wrapped with this shaggy fur. You can see that their fingers are elongated with what looks to be haggard claws at the end of them, or large jagged fingernails. Zastari, they are about 35 feet in front of you, encircling, and what you count at right now is 8 of them.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
What if they're just the welcoming committee?
The glaive
They're
comes
part of the
off.
Lollipop Guild.
The glaive comes off, goes point down in the ground, pack is dropped next to it. Her quiver, which is around her lower back.
Mm-hmm.
She just checks just one last time to make sure it's secure. Make sure that the bow is across her back. And then draws rapier and dagger and is running forward.
All right, total movement speed.
30.
30. You're going to end up 5 feet shy of them. Unless you double move. But that will take up your action.
And I am currently only level 1.
Do not have cunning action yet.
Not yet. In that case, then I will go 15 feet forward. Pull the
Excellent.
bow off my back.
Instead of drawing the rapier and the
Instead
short
of drawing
sword.
the rapier and the short
Draw
sword.
that.
And
Okay.
just pull back and fire.
All right. Roll to attack.
There's a 15 on the die. With a +6 to hit, which makes it 21.
Whew. That arrow smacks into him. Roll ahead and roll the damage, please.
Do I get my sneak attack?
You went first, but that part doesn't kick in until later.
I'm not taking assassin.
Okay.
Just so that I'm not taking assassin. If I have advantage on the attack roll, which I don't. Okay. In that case, it is just that'll be 8 damage total.
Total of 8 damage. Okay. All right. They are arranged kind of half, almost like an arch in front of you guys, with the outer edges being further away from you than closer to you. They look to be separated into 2 groups with about 10 feet between the left and the right group, 5 feet between each one of them. So basically, they're squared up almost shoulder to shoulder with one group on the left and one group on the right. Starting from the outside on the left, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which number did you shoot?
4.
You can just tell me a number if you don't care. Okay.
Because if they're ranged in front of me, I'm shooting directly forward, so it would have been 4 or 5, and I'm going to choose 4.
Okay. And he took 8 damage, all right?
Yep.
All right. With that being said, Ezra, it is your turn.
Ezra's going to move probably about 10 feet forward. He's going to hold his action until someone gets closer to him.
Okay. Holding an attack action until someone gets in range. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Punch
All right.
action.
Saitiel.
Owl is going to mess with number 3.
Mm-hmm.
So advantage on whoever targets number 3 next.
All right. Number 3 is parried. Okay.
I literally just rolled a d8 and said that's the one he's going after apparently. And I'm going to shoot the same one that's a starry shot with my crossbow. That is a 18 plus 5 for 23.
Wow, yeah, that'll hit.
For 6 damage.
Okay. You watched as they jumped from the trees, all 8 of them. They kind of sank to the ground and then stood back up, almost like a bounce in their step. As you did this, as soon as that happened, the starry quickly fired an arrow, slamming into the creature. You leveled your bow after sending your owl out. The crossbow fires once, finding perch right next to where the arrow hit. As it does, it spins his body and he collapses to the dirt dead.
He'll put a crossbow in the left hand, reach down to the case that he leaves strapped to his right thigh, pull out another bolt, load it.
All right, good job. All right, after Saitiel is Dull.
Okay, I have a question. So I roll the 1d20.
Mm-hmm.
Do I add anything to that?
You do. You're going to be adding your proficiency bonus, which is 2, and your dexterity bonus. So look at your dexterity modifier on your character sheet. It'll be like a plus something or other.
Plus 3.
So when you roll your d20, add a plus 5 to whatever you get.
Okay.
Which, Chief, if you're looking for it on your character sheet, if you go under actions, it'll have it. The very first thing it shows is the attacks per action that you can take.
Mm-hmm.
And what each of your pluses for what you're using.
Well, I got a 6.
Plus a 5, right? Or a total of 6.
Total of 6.
All right. Yep. Unfortunately, your arrow being shaken by these large creatures, which remind you of an animal you've seen before, but you can't quite place your finger on it. It's like an animal, but it's like misshapen or malformed.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing just kind of shakes you to the core, and your first arrow flies off into the forest. All right. After Doll is... Are you going to move at all? Or are you going to stay where you're at?
I'm staying where I'm at.
Okay, Tangaroa.
Okay. How close is the one that is closest to me?
Again, even though they stand roughly kind of in a semicircle, 35 feet.
Okay. So I will move to
Okay.
whatever one's closest to me.
What's your movement speed? 30. Okay, so you're gonna be 5 feet shy.
Yes, but my spear has 5 feet of reach.
Oh well, that would be 10 feet. 5 feet between you two. He would be at 10 feet range.
Oh, fucker. I'll throw it.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and roll. As a spear, you can use strength or dexterity.
Oh, use that strength. I rolled the wrong dice. Fuck.
The real questions in chat: is this a yeet or a
13?
Kobe?
13 does hit.
Okay. And where's my d6? Ooh, 10.
10 points of damage. The spear hits him. It's a creation or it's made out of mostly wood and bone, like a fish keel. So you watch as it hits him right in the center of the chest. The spear sticks into him like pretty deep, and he stands there holding on to it. Holding on. Not dead, but not bound for this world much longer. Please tell me which number you were aiming at. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, or 8. I'm sorry? 3?
Sure.
Well, if it's 3, you get
You have
advantage
on the attack. So roll your d20 again because you could get a critical.
I rolled a 7.
Okay, so your first attack will stand as it is. But still, he is mortally wounded. All right. Next up is Mello.
All right. So I am going to go to, let's see, Dull missed. So he's going to go over to say, dude, don't sweat it. You got this. Pats him on the back. And you get 3 temporary hit points.
Oh, thank you. I feel so supported.
All right. Is that your turn?
Let's see. I don't believe that I have anything else I can do as a bonus action at the moment.
Okay. Inspiration?
I suppose I can still do an inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Inspire the bandits?
Right. No. Can inspire the story.
Consider yourself inspired. Not inspired, inspired. The other guy's
yeah,
been
that's
inspired.
different.
All right. Is that your turn then, sir?
Your hair's on point. Kill them with that.
Leggy
your
for
hair
bardic
back and forth.
inspiration.
But yes, that's it for me.
All right. As you do so, you watch as they recover from themselves. You hear some more hoots in the distance. That same kind of a call, that kind of a hollow. As you do, you watch as these guys start to move forward. The nearest one to them being Tangaroa. The man with the spear that you had pulls it and tosses it and runs forward, slashing at you with his hand. Like that. I get my turn. As the bandit attacks. The staunch of blood flowing from his body throws him off, and as he swings his hands half-heartedly at you, he misses wide. You step back, and it just through the air at you. One more moves up to where Zastari is. I dropped my dice.
No.
There it goes.
That's going to be an 11
No.
total to hit you.
No.
Another one moves up to come up to your side, just so you guys know, setting the precedent here. We will not be using the flanking optional. Now, we'll ask, since this is our first combat. And I will always throw this out there whenever we're playing a game of homebrew. Roll your damage dice twice, or do you want a max damage dice plus one more?
I like rolling my dice.
Yeah.
This is a
I
roll
like-
dice one.
I like hearing the.
Okay. The second one attacks you with a total of a 15.
Meets it beats it.
All right. I need to roll all of these, and you are going to take 3 points of slashing damage as the claws drag across your body. All right, on the other side, we
My
have
face
those.
when I can be tracking this in freaking D&D Beyond.
Right.
I'm sitting here tracking it on paper, and I'm like, why?
Hold up.
You
Hang
don't
on.
need to.
I don't need to do that.
The other four start to rush forward. You can see that they seem to be more adept at running across this terrain, and unfortunately, they are faster than you. They quickly close the 35 feet. However, one of them is going to go right by Tangaroa, but you don't really have a weapon in your hand right now. The spear is at your feet. You can try to make an unarmed
Yeah,
strike at one of them as he moves by.
Me? Oh, yeah, sure.
That will actually be found in your actions on your character sheet in D&D Beyond under your attacks.
What? 22?
Most definitely. Sorry,
And
how much?
so that's 5. It's always 5
5.
damage.
Damage, yep. All right. They move forward up into range of the horse. You see the first thing that they come against is the shield. As they do, you watch as Jolly swings and hits one of them right in the side of the head with that blade.
Sorry, hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. Where is Ezra?
Oh.
Are you next to me?
No, I'm only 10 feet up. I'm a little bit farther behind you.
You're 5 feet behind me.
Mm.
One of them is right next to me, which should be within 5 feet range of you, which means your attack goes off.
Wait. You're here, 10 feet behind.
No.
Her?
Are you... No.
She's 10 feet.
I moved 10
If you
feet
move
up, so I'd
10
be
feet
5
up,
feet away
he's
from
only
Zari.
5 feet behind me.
Because you only moved 15 feet up.
Yes.
Okay, you're right behind them then, if we're using the grid map. So right behind them, then yes, you could hit the one that was on the left-hand side of
Zastari.
Zastari, and so that means that would proc your
Held
thing.
action.
So go ahead and roll your.
So I'm gonna punch.
You're gonna punch.
13?
13 does hit him.
That's 5.
Okay. Ooh, nice. All right. No. Grappled. No.
Are you sure?
I can't. I don't think I can grapple. I don't think my fist is an opportune weapon, is it? Well, I mean, it's
attack.
It's true. I thought it was just.
You are making an attack. When you ready an action, basically uses your reaction so you can make an attack.
Oh,
If grappling them requires you to make another action,
Mm.
you could not do that. You can punch them,
well, Tavern Brawler grapple is one bonus action.
right? But in your readied action, you don't get bonus actions.
So no,
When
I'm
you
not.
ready an action, you ready that action or a movement, but not.
Yeah.
So.
No, I
Oh,
only
okay.
get a punch. I'm not touching him with these hands just yet.
You watch as Jolly swings that blade, hitting that guy, and it's gruesome. And for a second, you see Jolly's face turn white and then a bit green. The bandit just hits the ground. You can see the top part of the skull has a huge gash in it. It's barely holding on. And from behind you, you hear a sound.
Oh, Charlie, no.
With that being said, another one moves up alongside the horse. You see that they're not trying to harm the horses. They seem to be more attempt at trying to get to the party. However, they're out of movement, so that is going to be their turn. We're going to start back up at the top of round 2 with Satael. Nope. Sorry, I moved it down. Sorry, Zastari.
Zastari is just gonna call over her shoulder. Keep it together, Jolly. You can do this.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And then she's going to drop the bow, draw the rapier and the dagger. And I got one in front of me and one to the left, right?
that is correct.
Okay. So here's what I would like to do.
Kill them all, Jeffrey.
Yeah, that's the plan. But here's what I would like to do, and I'm running it by you as the DM so you can tell me yay or nay. I want to feint attacking one and attack the other instead. Therefore surprising them, therefore technically qualifying for sneak attack.
Give me a deception check.
Excellent. That is a 15 on the die, plus 6 for 21.
Which one? The one to your left or the one in front of you? Which one do you want to? Which one do you want to feint, and which one do you want to attack?
Feinting the one in front of me, attacking the one on my left.
Okay. Because he is engaged, technically, your sneak attack would still apply. However, I like the aesthetic there. So you drop your shoulder and dive your blade in. He comes down quickly, and as he swings his blade down, the other one looks to raise his hand to attack you, seeing an opportunity. However, fell for your clever ruse, and you swing around and attack him with both weapons. Go ahead and give me an attack.
That is 17 on the die.
That will hit.
Plus 6 is 23.
Mm-hmm.
This is about to be painful.
So the first one is with
Well,
the
at least there's
rapier,
One.
which is a d8.
Plus 2d.
So it's a D8, a D6, and a D4.
So
Walk into a bar and
the rapier does 11 plus 4 for 15 damage.
15 damage. Your rapier, as you cross over, your rapier stabs in. You still locked eyes with the other guy. As you pull the blade, you kind of slide it over to the right. You just hear, and then he just falls to the ground on your left-hand side.
Okay.
Dead.
Can I still do my dagger?
As a bonus action. Mm-hmm.
Hang on, let me not dash that right into all of the other dice. That is a 19 on the die, plus 6 for 25 with the dagger.
That will definitely hit.
For 2 damage, because I don't have the fighting style for 2-weapon fighting.
That's sad. If only somebody would have given it to
Wait,
you.
no, I do have it. Why do I have it?
Because remember, I gave it to you.
No, you gave me Weapons Master as a feat.
That's right. You're right.
Why do I have 2-weapon fighting? Because
Everybody has basic 2-weapon fighting.
Yes.
But you have to have the combat style to get the modifier to your offhand attack.
You don't have.
That's what it
no.
is. So I don't.
Go ahead.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
don't get.
You're
I don't
right.
get
You're
my
right.
damage modifier.
That
when
is
I do
correct.
damage. So that's 2 damage with the dagger.
Okay. that is correct. What Eric says is true.
I was like, why do I have 2-weapon fighting? But then I remember you quantify the rapier as being able to be dual wielded with a light finesse weapon in the other hand.
All right. With that being said, is that your turn then?
Yes.
Ezra, there is a target-rich environment.
Yay! Is the one that's near the horse? Has that one of them been touched yet?
Has
That's
one of
kind of
them
just
been
like have any of them been hit? I know there's one you said near going towards the horse.
the one on the opposite? No, the horse is on the. You move forward. The horse would be behind you and to your
Okay.
right. So you have to look back over your shoulder and see that the one of the ones around. None of them around the horse have been. That's a lie. One
I
of
know
them
one's
got
dead.
hit. One of them got hit by.
2 of them are dead.
Yeah, one of them. 3 of them are dead technically.
3 now. Yeah.
One of them was hit by Tangaroa on the way by.
Okay.
Like
Real
shoved.
hard.
Yeah.
Hurt.
Nearly clothesline, took the poor fool's head off. Just Tangaroa sticking his arm out.
With 30 feet of movement, do I have enough to get around to the side of the horse? Yes. To one of the ones that are on the side of the horse?
Yep. There are 2 of them currently on the side of the horse.
Perfect. I'm gonna go for one of them then.
All right.
Slip backtrack.
It's my chocolate attack.
19?
It's
7 damage, and
okay.
I'll try for a grapple on
Okay.
it. Now I can use athletics or acrobatics.
No,
Do that?
for you it will be athletics to grapple.
Oh, that's fine.
Escaping allows you to choose. You said how much damage was it? 8?
7.
7. Thank you.
Ooh, I'm probably gonna miss that. 12.
It's just an opposed. You go to grapple him, and he quickly just kind of like put your hands back. You get a good look at him now. You can see that the claws are gauntlets, but they're open on the bottom. And he pushes your hands, and you can see just a normal human palm underneath.
I'll get him next. It's fine.
They're not monsters. They're just dudes. All right, then after Ezra, Saitiel.
Owl is gonna go mess
What owls
with.
do.
Yeah. Number 2, if he's not dead.
Hello, number 2. 2 is dead.
2 is dead.
1, 3, 5, 6, and 8.
Number 6 then.
Okay.
How many people are clustered around the horse right now? How many of the bandits?
2 on the left side, or 2 on the right side. None on the left side because they haven't made it past you guys yet.
Okay. Sawteel is going to go around to where he can see them. And in an effort to sort of throw them off, he is going to reach into one of his satchels, pull out a piece of charcoal, crush it in his hand, rub it around, and then throw it out. And he's going to cast Prestidigitation and turn the charcoal into a shower of sparks. It's just going to get all up in their faces to try to distract them and sort of throw them off.
Awesome. Okay. I like it. You all watch as this happens, and it's like flash powder going off, and there's just this sparks that burst through the air. This is the ones on the right, correct?
The 2 that are right side of the horse, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You watch as they kind of like blink their eyes for a second. Their next attack will have disadvantages. They are blinded by the sparks that appeared in front of them.
He's going to duck back behind the horse again.
All right. So you basically just looked over, did this over the top of the horse, and then disappeared again.
Basically, he's like did this, just like popped in with surprise, motherfucker.
My horse provides full cover.
Basically.
Full coverage horsies. All right. So as you do that, let's see, Saitiel. Next up, we have Doll. Doll.
How many are there now?
My number counts 5. One of them looks untouched, and he's at the shield. 2 of them are at the horse. 2 of them are close-ish to.
Am I at a good angle to get the one at the shield?
Yeah. Zastari, Jesus brain, kick in. 2 of them are still kind of close to Zastari. One of them is
Okay.
dead near Zastari.
25 to hit.
Oh God, yeah.
Wait, do you have a
Okay.
+5?
Yes, so I got 20.
Ow! This is gonna be painful.
Oh, that's a crit.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Roll your D8 twice, adding up the damage, and then
CJ,
add your modifier.
we can't even blame roll 20 this time. This is all you.
So it's
Yeah,
just,
that's
it's just
true.
all you.
You got the magic. You got the power.
11 in total?
Touch. 11 in total.
Yeah.
Great. Were you touching the one? You said you were hitting the one at the shield, touching the one at the shield.
Oh God! It went in his eye.
It's just
Yeah, the one at the shield.
You see him leaning over the shield, ready to try to grab whatever's on the other side. And as he does, he reveals like the collarbone or like the bend of his neck. Your arrow goes shoo, straight inside. There's just a gurgle sound, and he hits the shield limp, and then slides off of it. It's like into the ground he goes as you take that one out with one shot.
And Doll suddenly feels not as useless.
One shot, one kill.
Oh, you
All
literally
right.
with the spectrum. First round was a natural 1. This round
Yeah.
was a natural 20.
See,
Well, I
I
was-
told you you had it.
There are other numbers
got
on
this.
the dice. I'm just letting you know.
While I was waiting for my turn, I was just like tossing the dice, messing around. I got a 20 then too. I was like, I really hope I can repeat that.
Nice.
Wow.
All right, Tangaroa, you can pick your spear up as part of your move action. So what are you doing?
Okay. All right.
He does the bend snap to pick it up.
Oh yeah, the bend and snap.
It's even better than me
Before I pick it
demonstrating
up,
with my chair.
what are the distances?
They are-
Distances, yeah.
You moved 30 feet, so they are actually 30 feet behind you. They basically came from the spot where you were back.
Damn it! All right.
Just wearing Tangaroa out as he runs down the.
Get that cardio.
This boy be pacing.
Reasons why Zastari and Ezra didn't go further than 15 feet.
You know what? I won't pick it up yet.
Okay.
And they're 30 feet from me.
They are because you move 25 feet from you. 30
Okay,
feet.
so I
30
will be within
Striking.
move to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this might be a bad idea. The big dumb boy, he's going in. I'm gonna run towards. Let's go to 3, since I was fucking that one.
3. Okay. Yeah, 3 is there.
And I will pull out my club.
You watch as this piece of wood. It's narrow, but you see jagged teeth all around it. It's wide and round, and you can see he runs up with it in his head. It just looks like a vicious thing would get hit with pieces of teeth, like shark teeth or something else in there, serrated. All right, go ahead and roll to a hit.
13.
13. That
13.
will hit.
Either way. All right. And 11. 11 damage.
11 damage. Angry that he shrugged off your spear strike, you turn around. As you run at him, he doesn't even hear the slap of your feet on the ground before it's too late. As he turns around, you just catch him full across the head with it. You lay him open, and he just hits the ground dead. All right.
Yeah.
All right. At this time, we have 3 bandits left that you can see there right around you. With that being said, Doll, I'd like a perception check, please.
Okay. Let me. Come on. 5.
All right. Actually, I'd also like one from Saitiel.
Okay. I think the owl is otherwise engaged. So, I'll get to roll for him. But
Yes, the owl is engaged. The wedding is in the fall.
I'd say 16.
You haven't heard any sounds of arrows being fired for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But you do see shadowy forms moving in the tree.
As this isn't my turn, I can't tell my owl to go do something.
You cannot, but you can shout as a free action.
Yeah, he'll just go, I haven't heard those two shooting anything in a while, but there's people in the trees.
All right. And after Tangaroa is Mellow.
Let's see. What's the nearest bandit near me? I'm going to just say number 8. Yeah?
Yeah. Why not?
All right. Sure.
So we have 1, 5, and 6. And I'll say
1,
5 and
5,
6 are the ones. 5 or 6 are the ones on the horse. Number 1 is out by Zastari. Zastari right there in front of him.
Okay, so I'm going to move up toward next Zastari. Going to have my scimitar that I won. But I'm also going to be taking what appears to just be a rock, scraping it on the steel of the scimitar, and setting that bandit on fire.
Creating sparks as it goes along. You catch some of the shaggy fur. Do I need to do a dexterity saving throw?
Actually, let's see. It
Or is it a ranged
is
attack?
just a ranged attack. So,
Go ahead and roll the attack, though.
and it says hit +6, so that is an 18.
That will hit. Go ahead and give me some damage.
6.
All right. And that was to number 6 or number 5?
I thought you said number 1.
Number 1 is by... Oh, you moved up by Zastari, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. You strike the rock, finding one that has just the right mineral that rings out against the scimitar. As it does, sparks shower off the blade, catching the fur on fire. He tries hard to beat most of it out, and he succeeds. You said you did 6 damage, right?
Yeah.
He succeeds in getting most of it out before he goes fully ablaze, but you can tell that it burned him in several places. And with that being said, it's their turn. You are going to be attacked again, Zastari. That is going to be a total of a 13.
No.
Okay. And the 2 are going to move around the horse. They are not attacking you guys. Okay. It's 2 hits.
Is that with disadvantage?
They're not attacking you guys.
You said their next attack had disadvantage because they were blinded.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. Still 1 hit. And still not good. One of them has come around the end of the horse and goes to try to grab whatever is behind Jolly. Jolly Moriana steps in front to try to block him, you can see that she has what looks like a small disc. It's not a big shield, it's more like a buckler. She tries to hit him with it, and as he does, you watch his claws dig in deep. As he pushes her away, you can see blood on his hand. She stumbles and falls against the horse and hits the ground. She's not moving like her body isn't, but you can see her chest rise and fall, but it's very shallow. He then pushes forward, and you see Beckett standing there, his hands up, towering over the guy, because Beckett's like nearly 7 feet tall, but he's like super thin. He's like super thin, but he's
He's a
like,
green bean.
yeah, he's standing over the top of this guy, like trying to be menacing. Let's see, that is one's turn. That one is going to put his hands on top of the horse and dive towards. Oh no, he already attacked. That means that these guys. It's +3, so an 11 is 8. Thank you. Okay. You are all showered with arrows. Most of them are ineffectual. However, let's see, take a roll. What is your armor class?
18.
Oh, you're fine. You watch as the only one that hit as I rolled them. The arrow comes down and just the bolt smacks off your shoulder, like the carapace that you have on that you're wearing from the sea creatures. It just smashes against it harmlessly, doing you no damage. But you can now see in the trees that there are about 6 more of these guys. They're up high, and they're all keeping their crossbows and reloading them, and they're getting ready for another shot. That is all of the bandits. Zastari.
Do we see them up in the trees?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I got one left in front of me. Or is he down?
No, he's still up. Even with advantage, the highest I could roll was an 11 until that last roll.
Okay.
Just dumb.
So. Zastari is going to flick blood off both blades. And then pull her weapons up. And just...
Okay.
You have one chance to call your attack squad off. Otherwise, you will all lose your lives. And you all look like you are very much enamored of living. So surrender and flee. Or face death. Your choice.
Sighttail's over there being scaroused. All right.
Just wait till level 3.
Him?
Well, I'm gonna hold my attack action until he gives me an answer. And if his answer is no, we're going to continue fighting because you have something we want, then she's going to strike him down.
Oh, he looks at you and says, "Will you surrender when we have?"
Then death it is.
I was waiting for the then perish.
Oh, that's shit!
Missed opportunity.
I missed
Mhm.
it. That is a 13 on the die, plus 6 for 19.
All right, so 19 definitely hits him.
That is 2 plus 4 for 6 damage.
True to his word, he died before he got what he wanted.
Excellent. I'm going to turn and look. What do we have left? We have the people in the trees, and then...
Mhm.
Okay.
The 2 over with me.
Right. Okay. She's going to sheath both weapons very quickly. Like, she's not wasting too much time about this. she's going to run forward, grab up her bow, pull out an arrow, and she's ready to start firing on those in the trees for next round.
Okay. All right. So that is your turn then, for now.
Yes.
Okay, Ezra.
Is
There's
there
still
one
two on the ground.
There's still two on the ground. Is one of them near the horse?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try just grappling him.
Okay. So attack roll to see if you can get your hands on him.
It's a nat 1. Yikes.
You go to grab. As you grab, parts of the patch of fur comes off in your hand, but nothing of the dude.
Mine now.
Oh, you don't want this. It smells to high heaven. You pull it off, you're like, oh, great, I got to burn this hand now.
Can I move myself in front of him though?
Yeah, you can. Absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
All right. Okay. Saitiel.
Okay, so we have the one that went around Jolly that attacked Moriana.
Mm-hmm.
They have the one on the other side of the horse. And then the 6 in the trees.
Right, so the horse is here. You have one on this side of the horse and one on the other side of the horse in front of Beckett, standing over Moriana.
Right. Standing over Moriana. Okay.
Like, because he killed her, so he's like standing over her, and Beckett's like, oh.
Okay, makes sense. Saitiel's going to spot that, see that there's not really anything he can do over there for right now. He's going to he's going to hook the crossbow onto his belt, pull out his dagger. He's going to flick the blade a few times, flip it over, and try to stab the guy on the other side of the horse.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
And he's going to be casting Booming Blade.
Okay.
That's a natural 20.
Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and give me the damage.
This is gonna hurt, especially if he moves next round on his turn.
If he survives.
Yeah, it's 3, 6. It's 9 damage.
And that one does not survive. You all watch, and as you do this, the way that it looks is like you said, you flick the blade and he goes, and as you do, you stab it into him. It continues to resonate, and as you do, you hit bone, and it just rattles through him. And all of a sudden, as you pull it, you nick an artery, and again, that little vibration stopped whenever you plunged it in, but it kind of resonated. As you pull the blade out, he just kind of goes, and then falls over dead.
As the blade pulls back, his Saitiel's voice is like, "I'm sorry, but you chose this life."
Sorry. I'm so sorry. All right, after Saitiel is Dull.
Yep. Guess I'm gonna be aiming up in the trees.
Way up in the trees.
Yeah. All right. Uh, 19 to hit.
That'll hit.
9 total.
Okay. He's still in the tree, but you know the arrow found perch, and you hear the grunt as the arrow slams into him. He's still up there, though. All right.
I forgot to yeet the owl at somebody. Can I yeet the owl at somebody?
On your next turn.
Okay.
Tangaroa.
Okay. Is there one more on the ground, or is that one dead?
Nope, there's one more on the ground.
One more on the ground. How far away are the lovelies in the trees?
They are 30 feet in the air.
Fuck, okay. Just at a range for me to throw.
Well,
Okay.
is it like 20/something?
It's 20/60.
That means you have disadvantage past 20 feet. You can.
Okay, you know what? Let's yeet. Let's see. Yeah,
I just like the idea of you walking, you just kind of like towing your spear and kicking it up in the air. You grab the spear and then just chuck the thing in the air.
I have to go back and get my spear though. So
No. You just walk over to it and then do it.
okay. Not as fun. All right. So disadvantage.
Or if you'd rather, you run over, and as you do, you shoulder roll, grab the spear. When you come up to your knees, you throw it through the air.
It's gonna be great when I crit fail.
It's all right. Disadvantage.
All right. That is a 15. 22.
So the 15 it is. The 15 hits.
All right, cool.
You go ahead and give me damage.
Oh, 8.
All right. The spear does not come back down, nor does the body that you hit, but you can tell that it hit somebody. You hear the grunt as it goes, and you also see the trickle of blood as the serration on the fish keel that you use as the spearhead kind of like opens the wound up.
Can I make a quick free action real quick?
Yeah.
He'll look at the stars and say, Tari, wait for the owl.
All right.
That's it.
Mellow. When he called you Tari, nobody calls you Tari.
Yeah, zesty at least. Oh man, you're just gonna keep hating Mel, aren't you?
I think he's great personally.
I'm sorry, did the words at least call her zesty just leave Mellow's mouth?
Yeah.
All right. Before this devolves into something else.
Amusingly, I'm going to start using some vicious mockery at them. It's alright, guys. They suck. Don't worry. They suck.
Which one are you doing this at?
The closest one of the trees.
Okay.
Actually, no. Specifically, the one who just got the spear thrown at them.
What is your DC?
13.
He does not succeed. As you finish making that sound, you hear the no, and then no, I don't. He strikes the ground. The spear still sticking out of him.
Hey, you got your
His head
spear.
turned to the side. He's dead. All right, Mello, is that your turn?
I'm going to inspire. You know, after that, I'm going to inspire Tangaroa.
Awesome.
To me, my angel.
Who is right now where they can see the young girl?
I'm right by the horses.
So the right by the horses would be able to.
But do they see the girl?
No. I'm saying where our allies are they close enough where they can see the girl?
Okay.
I
know where her position is.
moved.
So yes to pretty much everybody. Maybe not Zastari because she's on the front side of the tower shield. Ezra's near the horses because you moved back, but you're on the outside of the little bivouac that they've got there. Mello's inside. Tangaroa is outside on the other side of the shield. All right, so Satael, Doll, and Mello. You watch as the illusion from the girl is... Well, the illusion doesn't change, but she steps back through it. As you do, you hear the crone going, "No, don't do it!" And you watch as she takes her finger and puts it against her palm, and as she does, she traces a symbol, puts her hand together, and then spreads her hands out wide. There is a shimmer and like a shimmer in the air and a feeling of pressure change. Not enough to make your ears pop, but like you can just kind of feel it. And as it does, it blasts back out for a second. There is bright light and sparkles, like somebody threw glitter or something. As it ends, your eyes kind of blinking from the light, you notice that I mean every single bandit has been turned into what appears to be like blossoms, and they just kind of fall to the ground. The girl hits her knees and she leans back, and in her hand, Setael, you can see that where she touched and drew on her hand, there are black traces of the symbol on her hand. They slowly start to fade away, but she's on her knees and you can see that she's just weeping openly. The crone leaves your area where you were casting minor illusion and walks over. She kneels down next to the girl and gathers her up. Immediately, the knight is on top. Like he comes busting out of the wood. You can see that he's got his sword and shield are out, and you can see that his armor has had a few dings in it. You can actually see where something like pressed against it and made one of the claw marks on it. He has blood on him, and immediately there's worry in the girl's face along with her tears, and he says, "Don't worry, it's not mine." And he kind of wipes his face and he picks her up and looks at her and like cradles her almost and puts her on the horse. "Don't move. I'm going to check the woods and make sure there's no more alive. Stay here." She kind of nods. He looks as he walks by, he kneels down, and you see him place a hand, and Beckett is on his knees next to Moriana. You watch as he places his hand over Moriana for a moment, and then he looks at Beckett and kind of shakes his head slowly, turns her onto her back, and puts her hands over her. "We'll make sure that she gets the correct passages. I'll fall unattended to. You understand?" And Beckett, his big green eyes are weeping openly. "I understand."
Oh, she's like full on dead.
Yeah, she's full on gone.
Darn.
As you look around the battlefield, there are no more bandits to fight. The Vanguard itself, other than you, the original Vanguard, has only lost one, Moriana. All of the scragglers that said, "Why haven't I been chosen? What about me?" and anybody else who tagged along has fled the scene. The 7 Vanguard and the 6 of you are all that make up. Well, I should say the 7 Vanguard and the other 4 of you are all that make up what's left of the party. You see that the young girl is still crying. The crone is shaking her head as she comes around, and all of you move back toward where they had set up the perimeter. I'd like for every single one of you to give me a perception check, please.
5.
25. Sorry.
Are we
25.
including the owl in this?
Sure.
12.
12.
My dice is like either
11.
great or horrible. There's no in between with this thing right now. Satiel got a 21.
Mm-hmm.
Owl got a natural 20 for 23
Okay.
because advantage.
Setael, you notice it, and Tangaroa, you notice as well. The crone, who is already old, appears to be a bit more frail than.
I got a 5.
I was gonna say I got a
I
25.
thought you said a 25. Oh, you got
I got a 25.
Ezra, you noticed that the crone, who looked frail and old before, looks even more so. The knight picks her up, carefully putting her on the horse, whereas before he just kind of helped her up. This time you watch as he takes the lead reins for both horses instead of mounting up behind the girl. He takes apart the shield, and he puts it on there, and he leads the 2 horses just off to the side of the road. As he does, he turns to and tells the rest of them, "There'll be time to cry while you walk. We must hurry." Gather Moriana. Let's bury her and put her to rest. They all start to move kind of slowly. With your help and everything, she is put to rest. He puts a marker up in her place, a reminder of where she fell and of what happened. He actually uses the blossoms from the fallen warriors to decorate the bed where she was laid.
Hmm.
He then grabs the lead ropes and heads off down the road. And when we pick up next week, we'll try to find out more of what's going on. But as for now, folks, it is late. I am tired. But I hope everybody enjoyed this show. I know I had a lot of fun running it. And as always, I'd like to thank my players, Maddie, V, Steve, Molly, Eric, and Chief, at least, who is with us on mic. Thank you all so much. Tomorrow night, we have Esper Genesis with Jason. And then on Wednesday, we have Icons with Jason again. Then Thursday night, the beautiful Maddie returns to run Curse of Strahd. I'll be up at Lucky Dice Cafe once again this Thursday to run the live long form campaign. So if you'd like to get on that, it is a $20 buy-in, but it is an ongoing campaign. You do get dinner and adventure as always. And I'll be back on Friday night at Lucky Dice Cafe to run the adventure night. I would love to tell you what I'm running this week, but I have no idea. It'll be a surprise for all of you. With that being said, take care of yourselves. We've got a lot coming up. Any big announcements that we have going on? No?
I think so.
All right. Well, awesome. Take care of yourselves. Feel free to join the Discord. We love and appreciate your support here on the channel or on our Patreon. Or if you'd like to buy me a coffee, I would greatly appreciate any and all support, as it just helps to go in to make this a better show. Thank you one and all, and have a great week. We'll see you when we see you. Take care, guys.